Welcome back to CTV Morning Live. Here's our Ask the Expert segment with Auger Hollingsworth. Brenda Hollingsworth is joining us today. If you need to get a question in, give us a call live on the air, 789-6559, extension 2803. You can always email us, ottawa.morning@ctv.ca, or get through us via our Facebook or our Twitter pages. Brenda joining us once again, and as a personal injury lawyer, a lot of the segments we've been talking about it as to what's happened, how can people proceed, what should they do at the scene of an accident. The next thing we're looking at right now is what happens in hiring the lawyer. What's the lawyer responsible for? What can they do for you?
Right, that's an important thing to understand, because lots of discussion about kind of the accident scene, but once you've actually signed on the dotted line, what's that lawyer doing for you? So the number one thing to understand if you've hired a lawyer is that it's not a quick process. What I say to my clients is you can have fair or you can have fast, but you can't have both. So it's a time-consuming process. What we have to do is basically build a case that convinces the insurance company to pay what the value of your injuries actually is. And that involves collecting a lot of information. So the very first thing we do is send out a whack of requests for information. And you won't be surprised to hear that doctors and hospitals and physiotherapists don't respond instantly. They mean well, but their business isn't sending us their medical records. So it does take time for us to get that kind of information. So sometimes it's 5 or 6 months before we even have the basic information we need to assess your case. So that's a big initial process.
I'm sorry, I would have been surprised that 5 to 7 months in terms of, it can be up to that in terms of understanding how many documents have gone out and waiting for them all to come back in.
That's right. We send about 28 different types of requests. So like your CPP contributions, whether or not you've ever received EI or Ontario Works, those things don't mean you have a case or not, but we need to know. Right, so we send out all those requests, and it can be 5 to 7 months before we get everything. And the other thing that takes time is we can't assess your case until you've reached that maximum medical recovery, right? If you've just had surgery and we don't know how that surgery is going to turn out, we can't tell you what your case is worth, because if you get your mobility back, it's worth less than if you don't. So there's that kind of a waiting process too.
Okay, can I interrupt you for 1 second?
You bet.
Just so I'm even looking at a better understanding. If for some of the things that you're fighting for, that you've hired a lawyer for, is to extend coverage or to be able to have access to more coverage for physiotherapy or for medical bills, wouldn't you need to start that earlier, even though you don't actually know what the extent of the injury is going to be? You're looking or at least foreseeing long-term change of lifestyle or long-term rehab.
Well, if you're talking about a car accident, which it sounds like maybe you're talking about a car accident, then we have the accident benefits, right? We talked about those last time. Those are the benefits that get activated immediately. You're right, you put the application in for that immediately after your car accident, and you get coverage for either $3,500 or $50,000 or $1 million if you're catastrophically injured. So that's happening in the meantime.
Okay, what if you have slipped and fallen on ice outside of your building?
Yeah, well, generally speaking, if you're going to have non-OHIP covered services, you're going to pay for those up front.
So, okay, so that's the expectation, and then you're looking for recovery.
That's
afterwards.
right. There are very few organizations that'll fund your rehab. Every now and then, when liability is really clear, and if it's a good organization, they might give you some money for physio. But generally speaking, they want to settle once for a lump sum, and you show them all of your receipts, and hopefully, if we're able to negotiate it, you'll get all of that reimbursed, plus something for your pain and suffering.
So someone should be collecting every bill and keeping everything that they have spent in the case that they are going to pursue something.
That's right. The easiest amounts to recover are out-of-pocket expenses. We call them special damages, but out-of-pocket expenses is what they are. They are the easiest thing to prove, but only if you've got proof that you spent them. So if you've actually incurred a rental fee, like a lot of things now that you get, like crutches and casts and that kind of thing, you have to pay the hospital. Keep those receipts, keep your ambulance bill if it wasn't covered by accident benefits, keep all of that stuff. You don't have to organize it, just stuff it in an envelope, but absolutely keep it and give it to the lawyer, periodically give it to the lawyer. Because what we like to do is give the insurance company updates on, look at how much she's spending. This is a big case. We want the insurance company to know that it's a big case so that they are prepared when it comes to negotiate and they've got big amounts of money set aside.
Right, and once you've collected all of the different all the pieces of information that you've been waiting for as well.
Right.
Something that I think people need to think about. We have run out of time for this segment. We have 2 more segments. Let us know if you have any questions. I do want to kind of follow through other things in terms of why using a lawyer, how not using a lawyer can actually affect a case as well. So we'll get to those questions. But if you have questions, give us a call live on the air, 789-6559, extension 2803. If you're looking for information with Auger Hollingsworth, the info is listed right there. Their email, their website, askbrenda.ca. But we'll be back with more with Brenda right after this.